and this is the first time for me on Mars, so I thank you for hosting me. We are having, Alessandra is having connection issues, so I will present her presentation myself without her presenting it, and I'm sorry, but I will read it. So we are collaborating in a project we want to share with you. Mars exploration involves many different issues, among which humanities are not a priority if compared to economy, biology, engineering, ecology. In our opinion, however, the human heritage made of cultures, literatures and arts ought to provide a robust basis for what we might call a migration and settlement, not only of the bodies but of the minds. In a future which is not so far, cities will be built, schools and museums will be organized, and we must be ready for this to happen. Our generation will probably not be there, and I think it is crucial now to let the younger generations have a multifaceted knowledge of the history of the representations of planet Mars, also including literary and filmic storytelling. Many younger people are familiar with disaster movies, fictional alien invasions and imaginary wars between Martians and terrestrials. On the contrary, a very different and almost unknown literary production exists, which portrays the Red Planet as a utopian world inhabited by smart people who have been able to build a much better civilization than ourselves and offer to be our guides. It is a world full of flowers, gardens and cities. Here you can see some examples of these Sarah Weiss romans. Some quotations. Below the line of snows lay dense forests of grand trees, many of whose mighty trunks excelled in girth the Washingtonia gigantea of earth, whose lofty tops seemed anxious to mingle with the heavens, and whose foliage was redolent with sweet perfumes. Beautiful valleys nestled at the feet of mountain peaks, filled with quaint homes, and surrounded by delightful parks and lawns, beds of flowers and maple trees, elms, beeches, oaks and pines, birches and hemlocks and other hardy trees. In this city, here on Mars, right in the center of the place, are roses of every hue, damask, red, white and cloth of gold, petunias, myrtles, oleanders, dahlias, jessamines and other flowers. Martian utopias obviously date back to before Mariner 4, 6, 7 and 9. Only in the 1960s and 1970s the first photographs came showing that there was no vegetation at all on Mars. In American literature, several examples exist of these amazing narratives, dating back to a period between 1890 and 1910. From Mars by the aid of the telescope plant, Unveiling a Parallel, a romance by two women of the West, written by Alice Ilgen Fritz Jones and Ella Merchant in 1893. This is the book I translated, and I'm going to talk tonight. Here again are other books: A Cityless and Countryless World, Daybreak, The Story of an Old World, Edison's Conquest of Mars, To Mars with Tesla, or The Mystery of the Hidden World, The Certainty of a Future Life in Mars, Being, the posthumous paper of Bradford Torrey Todd, Journeys to the Planet Mars, Lieutenant Gulliver Jones, His Vacation, and Desmond Udas, A Romance of Mars. The Lunarian Professor and his remarkable revelation concerning the Earth, the Moon and Mars. The Man from Mars, or Service for Service's Sake. Through Space to Mars, or The Longer Journey on Record. A Ralph 124C 41 plus, a romance of the year 2660. Here's the cover of To Mars Via the Moon, an astronomical story by Mark Weeks. And then the most famous book by Percival Lowell, Mars, Mars and its Canals, and Mars is the Abode of Life. According to Lowell, Mars had been inhabited. There was or had been water on it, and Earth was on the verge of beginning its own decline to a Mars-like desiccation. He, the man, has enslaved all that he could. He is busy exterminating the rest. Already, man has begun to leave his mark on his globe in deforestation, in canalization, in communication. This is what Percival Lowell wrote in 1908. Here you can see the Mars and its Mystery by Edward Morse. This is the project, Alessandra's project. We intend to start today with Unveiling a Parallel by Alice Ilgenfried Jones and Ella Marchant, the first American novel entirely set on Mars, published by two women of the West, Iowa, to be precise, in 1893. This book has been translated into Italian for the first time this year by Simonetta, by me. I think it was the first translation from the English in all the world. So I stop here the presentation of Alessandra, and I should put on my presentation. I hope you can still hear me. Can you see the presentation? Thank you. So we are talking about Unveiling a Parallel, as I already said, written in 1893. It is the story of a young New Yorker who goes to Mars at the end of the 19th century. And in the Red Planet he meets people from different nations. Their aspect, the Martian I mean, is human-like, but the difference from the Earth is that they developed a perfect society. That's why we are talking of it as a utopian novel. Also, it is a proto-feminist fiction because on the Mars described by the two women of the West, there are no gender issues. And as we have already stated, it is entirely set on Mars. Here you can find the first edition of the book in the website of the Project Gutenberg. So if you are interested, and I hope so, in reading it, you can just follow the link at the bottom of the slide. So we are talking about fantasy or reality. Novelists often imagined world, technologies and society which didn't exist at the time they wrote their stories or novels. Sometimes their fictional stories and settings anticipated a future that later became a reality. Alice Jones and Ella Marchant described Mars and a form of living on the Red Planet that we could use as a suggestion in our dream and project to start a humane, and I wish to underline humane, brand new world on the Red Planet one day. Mars, imagined by our women of the West as a luxuriant vegetation we see on the novel. They describe the lakes, rivers, trees, flowers and everything. And also the climate is very similar to that on the earth. There is no rain, storms and so on. Its inhabitants, as a difference, enjoy a utopian existence in every aspect of their life, because their life in personal, familiar, professional side and in social relations is very happy, very successful and fulfilling. Now we know that the red planet needs to be terraformed. There is no green and blue paradise waiting for us, but we can take the opportunity to recreate that humane society Alice and Ella described in 1893. So what was one and more century ago could be a reality. The society described by Alice and Ella was very complex, and many topics were talked about, were developed in the novel. We just chose three among them because we consider them fundamental for living in a caring society, and we think that from this very basic point we can take inspiration for a new world on Mars. The 3 points are sustainable development and growth, equality of rights, and well-being and personal development. As for the first point, sustainable development and growth, the Martian world depicted in the novel is highly technological. It is a very wealthy country, and there is a very economically developed country. But also it is very advanced from a social and ecological point of view. The nation of Caskia, which is the nation visited by our New Yorker, is very, very rich. Everybody is employed according to their abilities and inclination. And this is a very important point because over there all the people worked with care and responsibilities for themselves, the other people and the environment. And since they had chosen their job as for their inclinations, they made their job, their work with pleasure. The common welfare is at the base of economy and development, because no place was left to greed, exploitation or pollution of the environment. The second point is equality of rights. The material comfort of this imagined society is the result of a commonly shared belief in equality of rights for every person, every individual, no matter gender, class, job, education. In our future life on Mars, like in Caskia, the perfect nation, we trust to be again no gender issues, religious, ethnic issues, but an unconditional respect for any living being. And with them we intend to mention not only men and women, the humankind, but also animals and plants. And we want to underline a particular care and attention in passing the fundamental values to the next generation. We can say that education in this case is the point also connected to the last topic, which is well-being and personal development. The crucial importance of teaching and bringing up children with respect for their person and taking into account their character and peculiarities is stressed in this visionary novel. A livable and prosperous society is composed of fulfilled individuals. So we should pay attention to arts, education, as I have already said, a gratifying job, a peaceful community, attention and care. Care, the word care is very important because we need care for body and mind, both of them. Because all these things are essential in a society where people aim to become better and actively help others. The great visions of past literary works are pearls of wisdom left to us because we are women and men of the future, eager for a new start on the planet Mars. Thank you.